You're welcome back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Joining me this evening to do justice on the show is Emmanuel Michael. Mike, good evening to you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me this evening. I'm glad to be here as always.
All right, let's start the show this evening with athletics, a very disturbing issue in Nigerian athletics as the Athletic Integrity Unit has clarified that the Athletic Federation of Nigeria must submit credible contemporaneous documents to establish the true date of birth of 17 athletes flagged for age discrepancies. The requirements forms part of the AIU's 2nd December 2025 directive, which gives the Athletic Federation of Nigeria until 5 p.m. on the 16th of January 2026 to provide full explanations and supporting evidence. According to the AIU, the most important records are those created at or near the time of birth or during early schooling, because such documents carry the highest evidentiary value and are less susceptible to manipulation. The unit emphasized that documents issued many years after birth, especially during an athlete's competitive career, will not be given the same weight. Among the primary documents requested, birth certificates are considered central because they are typically issued shortly after delivery and record the date of birth based on hospital or registry information. The AI also highlighted current and previous passports, noting that earlier passports are particularly important since they reflect identity details submitted long before any potential incentive to alter age for competition. Mike, I don't know what you make of this. A lot of documents being requested from the Athletic Integrity Unit at this point in time. You know, you think the Athletic Federation of Nigeria can provide these documents for, 17 athletes that have been, of course, involved in this particular one? Because if they don't, it means there might be serious sanctions.
I think it behoves on the Athletic Federation of Nigeria right now to start doing their background check, since it looked as though they were sleeping while they had to approve athletes with age controversies, allowing them to take part in that African under 17 and under 18 championship. So I think if they had failed to do the right thing by making sure that the athlete which participated in that last competition, which resulted to AIU coming up with this demand right now, it means that it is right now for them to wake up and start looking on how they can be able to bring out some of those critical and technical details regarding those athletes. All right, because I think that is more like going back to the basis. First, you have to provide the birth certificate, which is very crucial. All right. Secondly, you have to provide some of your secondary or even primary school certificate, because these are government official. Because whenever you get registered, your name and your age is already registered there, and it is there for life. You cannot alter it, because there are some of the athletes which altered their age, which resulted to where we find ourselves right now. So the question of if can Athletic Federation of Nigeria provide this date, it is not a matter of whether they can provide or not, because it's two-way thing. If you cannot provide it, it means your athlete falsify their age, and you know the consequences of that. So the hammer will come definitely upon the Athletic Federation of Nigeria and the athletes. All right, because whatever happens to the athlete, it affects the Nigerian Athletic Federation, because if all these 17 athletes in quotes is said to be indicted of age falsification, it means they are going to get banned. And of course, that will also amount to state sponsors doping, because you cannot tell me that an authority like Athletic Federation exists and about 17 or more than athletes falsify their age, and you tell me that the authority is not aware. That is why Russia is facing what we call the state sponsors doping. Why? Because they have numerous amounts of athletes involved in doping issues. And so for me, I think it's a two-way thing. It's either you provide the necessary documents or your athlete being banned. which would definitely affect the Athletic Federation. So I think we have nowhere to hide. I won't say we, all right? The Athletic Federation at this point in time, led by Honorable Tonobo Kokowa, has a lot of work to do. I know when this story flies last week regarding the falsification of age by our athletes, I knew it that it was going to come to this point, because we are not talking about an athlete. We are not talking about 2 or 3. It's more than that. That means that if they cannot provide it, it means that they have failed in their primary responsibility of conducting free and fair athletic activities right here in the country and the nationwide, and not even nationwide, globally, I mean to say. All right, so I think we are in serious problem talking about the Athletic Federation, because the AIU, they are very serious, they are very keen in making sure, because they have, before they had to tender or demand for such critical, sensitive information, that is to tell you how ready they are to peruse through those documents. And of course, we have less than 2 or 3 weeks to provide or to meet up with those demands, because I think they gave the Athletic Federation 6th of January next year. So today is
I think that's 16th of January.
So we still have about 3 or 4 weeks to be able to make that happen. But I can tell you that it is not looking good at this point in time for Athletic Federation of Nigeria.
Not a good one at all, and we look forward to see how they will be able, of course, to maneuver all of this at the end of the day. We hope that they get things done. But Mike, these are the things we've been talking about even at home here. When you go for the National Youth Games and you see athletes up to the age of 20 participating for a competition that is supposed to be between the age of 10 to 15. All right, even at the National Sport Festival, the University Games, at this point in time, and now it has gotten down to this, level. If we don't tackle this, we might continue to see things like this happening. Because at the end of the day, we might think, oh, it's not how we do it at all. Possibly we might skate through when it has to do with global competition. So if we don't tackle it at home, we might continue to see things like this happening. How do we curb this situation, of course, from occurring going forward?
It is very simple. It is very simple. First off, you want to correct some of these anomalies, especially regarding the age cheats of stuff. You must have to start from the grassroots. We keep talking about grassroots. Grassroots has to do with the going down to the basis of discovering talents at their young age. And continue to nurture them, follow them up. Because if we don't start from the grassroots, definitely we will continue to have some of these anomalies where athletes that are way beyond 25 are competing in an athletic event that is made for under 15. And when we manipulate our way through in the local scene to participate in some of the local activities here, call it the National Youth Game, a Niger Delta Sport Festival, and the rest of it all, we might just manipulate and muzzle our way through, falsify our age, and go and participate in that competition. But then, how long can we sustain it? That is a problem, because you are not only restricted to participate in an athletic event only within Nigeria. What if it has to do with a regional event, global event? All these things must come to bear. You must tender your accurate age. All right? So going back to the basis, which is going back to the grassroots, I think this is the only way we can tackle it. Because, of course, if you say, oh, let's set up some task force committee to wade into the issues of trying to trace or verify age cheat within the Athletic Federation, you still discover that those task force that might be set up might also falter, because we've seen some of them being accomplices, where they take a little thing just because they want to cover you, and they take small money from you and they allow you to go through. So for me, it's going to be very, very difficult. Severally, they have tried it to use the NIN as a means of trying to curb the age stuff, but we still hear that some people still muzzle their way through and still cheat and participate in such competition. So I think the best possible way is to go back to grassroots. We have youth sport activities where we can say, okay, this one is a youth. All right, let's start from the primary school activities. There is no way in the primary school where you are below the age of, let's say, 20, and you want to participate in an event of let's say within the age range of 10 or 12, it will be visibly open that, oh, this person is way beyond, and they won't allow you to participate. So you start from there. If we set up a panel that can be able to monitor all of this, and I think it will be, very easy one, and the age stuff will be a thing of the past. But then there must be an intentional and deliberate plan for we to achieve that. You can't just sit at the top and say, okay, your own duty is just to give, directive on how you think that a certain program should go, and at the end of it, you delegate few people as local organizing committee, and at the end of it all, they just say, oh, we had a very successful event. Whereas the basic issue of age cheat and other falsification practices within the system still exist. So I think it's high time we are deliberate about what we want to achieve. And I think another thing that we need to also look at is about how a parent can also play key roles. Because if you're a parent, you know that your kid is within the age range of 25, and there is a sporting activity of maybe within the age range of 15, and you know that this your kid is 25 years, and you are encouraging him or her to go and take part in such events, all right, automatically the parent also have contributed in one way or the other to cause age cheat, which for me will not be bad. Also, parents as well, they have big role as well to play, because if we want to be sincere with ourselves and sanitize the system, those people committing those errors at the top, are they not product of the society? They are the product of the society, born by you and I. We live together, we understand ourselves, but when they get there to the top, why is it that they change their character? The character has been there from the onset. So we are the product of the society. Therefore, we gave birth to those at the top that is causing some of these problems. So it starts from the basis. Parents as well, like I said, they have key roles to play. We must be sincere if we truly want to move sport activities forward. It's not just boiled down to maybe members of the Athletic Federation. We have our own roles to play individually.
All right, let's see how this one, of course, will go down. We'll hope that, things will be done properly to make sure that, of course, age cheats is being curbed right here in athletics, here in Nigeria. Away from that, let's talk football as we take a look at the preparation of the Super Eagles of Nigeria ahead of the African Cup of Nations. Mike, yes, the Super Eagles of Nigeria lost to Egypt 2-1 in a friendly encounter where, of course, they had Egypt had no Mo Salah, in that encounter. Some of their top players, of course, were not in that game. Taking a look at that performance and the results, should it call for concern? Should Nigeria worry ahead of the African Cup of Nations? Taking a look at that performance.
No, not at all. If you could also recall that, in the morning of that particular game, we were on air, and I told us that even if the Super Eagles get to lose that game, it should not be source for concern. Why? Because it was more like a testing ground for the coach. And of course, you saw the starting lineup in that game. It clearly reflects what I said, that you have to give opportunities to the newbies, try to test their methods and see how they can be able to fare in real competitive game when the African Cup of Nations kicks off. So I think for me, there's nothing to worry about. All right, even if we get to win that game, what difference will it make? If we get to win that game, let's say 6 or 5-0, then we start our first game and we lose the first game. Does it make any difference? Or we start our, supposedly first starters, in that game, and 1 or 2 of them get injured, and I will not participate in the rest of the African. Does it really make any sense? So I saw it that it was a game of a test run, more like a prep-up to the African Cup of Nations, which the coach actually did. 2-1, it was a narrow loss, but then what is important is the positive that I think the coach should take from that. At least 1 or 2 players can be able to fit into the first starting lineup in the next game. At least you've seen what the likes of Hamas or Basoge can do, and some of them that have not tested first-team football. All right, giving them that opportunity in such a big stage, I think it goes a whole long way to boost their morale to say, okay, I think I'm ready. Even if I'm given a first start-up in this African Cup of Nations, I can stand the anxiety, all right? I can stand the stage fright, because it is quite difficult you playing where there is no large crowd and you playing such big stage like African Cup of Nations where you know that there will be enormous crowd. So sometimes some of these first timer in the national team, they face this fear factor. But then if you've given that person that chance for him to exhibit his skill, that confidence will naturally be built up. Even if he's thrown into the heart of the action in the next game, then at least by then he has been able to gather enough courage. So I think nothing to worry about. I see a team that is ready to fight. If we can also see such zeal when the match get off proper, though we did not win, but there are some positive we need to take home that, all right? If Stanley Nwabali is not there, at least we have somebody that we can say, okay, this one we can manage him.
You're really confident on Obasogie?
Amas Obasogie, I can't use one match to judge him, although there have been calls from different quarter that the goals we considered were cost of some of the goalkeepers' error, like the first goal from Stanley Nwabali. Some have blamed that goal on Stanley Nwabali's mistake. The second goal again, some were also trying to blame Amas Obasogie. But mistakes are unavoidable. All right, they are unavoidable rather in the game of a footballer. So the most important thing is that when you make mistake consistently, it becomes very worrisome. All right, if not, it is mistake that lead to goals. If there are no mistakes, there will be no goals in football, and there will be no excitement, because football is about goal scoring. That is what gives the fans a joy to celebrate. All right, but then I believe the team is going to grow in strength. They are going to grow in confidence as the AFCON gets underway properly.
So are you really confident with what we've seen so far, the preparation, the players on ground? Do you have that confidence that Super Eagles of Nigeria will go possibly down to the semi-final or maybe the final, for the AFCON tournament? Taking a look at how intense the tournament is, the teams that are on ground looking very much intense. You talk about Cape Verde, Egypt, South Africa, Morocco. These are very, very impressive footballing nation to see. Can the Super Eagles of Nigeria strive in this edition of the AFCON?
Looking at the level of preparation so far, you cannot say, yeah, we had 100% preparation leading to this AFCON, all right? But then I think it's a general problem for all the nations participating in the African Cup of Nations, because the new deal that was struck between, of course, the football governing body, FIFA, and CAF, that is the Confederation of African Football, is going to, or has, in a very huge essence, affected all the teams in Africa going for this African Cup of Nations. Why? Because the time limit given to clubs to release their players, it is not just Nigerian players alone. It also affects other nations that is participating, where they said, okay, we'll give it until the 15th of December for you to release your player, which is the club side. But then, prior to that agreement reached, CAF had it that at least club side must release their players at least 2 or more weeks before the start of a major competition such as the AFCON. But the decision that was reached has made it extremely difficult for players to start arriving camps early. And that is why I say that it's not just going to affect the Super Eagles, because it's not only Super Eagles that has their players, most of their pros, plying their trade in Europe and different parts of the world. Other countries as well have their players plying their trade, abroad. So I think the chances of the Super Eagles is also more likened to the chances of any other team in Africa here, whether Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, because they still have their players as well plying their trade. The only team that I think they might just be 100 or 80% free from that dilemma of players not arriving camp very early is team like South Africa, all right, that has a majority of their players drawn from the PSL, that is the South African league out there, because these players, they play, almost every week, all right, for their club side out there in the South African league. So because of the fact that they are at home, that gives them the opportunity to properly understand themselves better and regroup as early as possible, unlike other teams that were waiting for their foreign professionals to arrive after 15th of December. So To answer your question point blank, can the Super Eagles, you know, meet expectations? Because the expectation would be that, oh, hence they got to the final last year, all right, this year they should win it.
Yeah.
All right, it's going to be pretty difficult because we still have other teams as well that have, you know, great quality players. Likes of Egypt, all right, they have a very great squad. Senegal have a very great squad. South Africa, we saw how, you know, they impressed last time. This Cape Verde, that is the new talk of the town. It's another team that we need to probably watch out. Very small country, but then they are growing in leaps and bounds in terms of football as well. So I think the Super Eagles, they have 50-50 chance of either going out there to succeed by winning the title or not winning it.
Let's see how it goes with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the very best going forward in the African Cup of Nations. But still talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, today the Democratic Republic of Congo Football Federation came out to warn the Nigerian Football Federation against using what they tag as a backdoor, you know, to the African Cup of Nation. What's up?
World Cup,
the bigger pardon, the World Cup. We saw the Nigerian Football Federation yesterday putting up a petition that DR Congo, of course, feeded in an ineligible players, of course, in the World Cup, you know, playoffs. And now they are coming up. They are also throwing bans, or let's say bans or words, against the Nigerian Football Federation that they should not, of course, you know, try to use the back door to, of course, you know, gain a place in the World Cup that comes up, of course, next year. We understand that FIFA is still revealing this issue, but since yesterday, Mike, what have you been able to deduce from all of this?
First of all, I was able to deduce that the DR Congo side, they faltered first. They faltered by not, you know, allowing the due process to take place. What is the due process here? Is that their own stipulation, I mean, their own constitution stipulates that you cannot, you know, hold a dual citizenship and claim to be a DR Congo citizen. You must absolutely and completely deny one, all right, before you can truly. That is what their constitution states, all right. So if you are holding a dual citizenship and you took your DR Congo passport to FIFA and say, okay, this is a player that want to switch allegiance because of the passport, which of course is part of the rules that allows you to switch allegiance by FIFA. All right, but then FIFA weren't aware that, of course, these players hold dual citizenship of DR Congo, and they have not been able to align themselves with the constitutional provision of DR Congo. So, first off, I deduce that Congo DR, they erred in the way and manner they were able to absorb these 9 players. About 9 players we are talking about here. All right. So, and I also discovered that, yeah, maybe for feature of the World Cup ticket might be far away from that, but then certain sanction will be applied. All right, that is if FIFA use their own discretion properly. Maybe they just want to be fair enough. There are certain penalties that may be applied, but then for feature of the World Cup ticket, that I don't know for now, but it's going to be a very long one. But then I also deduce that the NFF, they have a very strong case here, which if FIFA continue to review this, is going to affect DR Congo.
All right, we'll see how this one, of course, will go down at the end of the day. FIFA, of course, are on it, so we'll see what will be the outcome at the end of the day. All right, we'll take a break. When we return, we'll talk about the retirement of Ahmed Musa from international football. Stay with us to Bright Rock. You're welcome back. Steve Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, we're bringing you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. And Mike, let's talk about Ahmed Musa today. He officially put up that long-awaiting announcement that, of course, people have been waiting for, because he was no longer regular with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. After 15 years, Ahmed Musa, of course, had decided to retire from international football. He said so many things, of course, on S. Of course, he actually bragged about being one of the most capped, Super Eagles Super Eagles player, 111 appearances, of course, for the team, and as well won an AFCON tournament, and the highest goal scorer, of course, highest goals Super. Of course, I think it's the highest goal scorer, of course, in the World Cup when he has to do with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So, what do you make of it? What do you make of his playing time? And will you say he had a successful stay with the Super Eagles of Nigeria?
Yeah, for me, I think Ahmed Musa, the governor, as is popularly known by his teammates out there, he had a very successful stint with the senior national team, because he's been to several World Cup, not once. All right, won the African Cup of Nations. Was very instrumental to Nigerian team for the last 10 to 13 years down the line. Right now, I think he has paid his dues. He's served the country meritoriously. Highest capped Super Eagles player, and highest goal scorer in the World Cup for the Super Eagles. He can't forget easily how he dazzled against Argentina. All right. So I think he's paid his dues. He has fought a good fight, and now it is time for him to hang his boot and give opportunity to the young ones to, of course, carry on. But I can tell you that Ahmed Musa had a very successful stay with the Super Eagles.
Does he deserve to be called a legend of the team?
Definitely, because it wasn't just a peripheral member of the Super Eagles. He was a pivotal and a central figure of the Super Eagles, and whenever he's on the green and white jersey, he fights with the last drop of his blood. So I think for me, he is a legend because you cannot be there for 15 good years. You have also captained the team. And of course, they won the AFCON, the biggest trophy within the football fraternity in the African region. That is the biggest trophy. So I think he's a legend for me.
All right, sir. Impressive one for Ahmed Musa. He's now, of course, the manager of Kano Pillars. And things have not really been well for Kano Pillars, since he took over. It's been struggle upon struggle for Ahmed Musa and Kano Pillars so far this season.
You see, there's a quite difference between you being a player and, of course, being on the administrative seats. It's a different ballgame altogether. Sometimes that is why you see some players during their playing days, they were very exceptional, very fantastic players. But then when they dive into the coaching world, they become a complete disaster. So sometimes it might just be a good player during your playing days, but that does not necessarily mean that you must translate that into coaching or translate that into administrative cadre. Every administration, every activity have its own set rules, and you must acquaint yourself with the techniques and the rules of that profession for it to be successful. If you want to dive into administrative angle, of course, you need to pass through the process, go to administrative schools, learn the basics so that you can be able to effectively. And that is why sometimes you are surprised that one who has never played football, who has never played table tennis, who has never played basketball, is made a leader or a head of such an organization. Sometimes you wonder, all right, but you should also know there's a difference between you playing that game and you being a good administrator. These are two different things, and that is why it looks as though Ahmed Musa needs for me to go to administrative school so that he can learn the basics, because you can't just jump in there and you think that you can get it right because you have a vast knowledge of football because you played it. No, it's a different ball game together. So you must, as matter of must, try to go through the nuances of learning the basics administratively before you can have a successful
he has spent time in the game, all right? He has played football for so many years. He has interacted with coaches. He has interacted with management, you know. I think he should be able to have the experience. Football is practical, it's experience. So take a look at the number of years he has spent. Does he still have to now go to administrative school to understand how to manage a football team?
Definitely you have, and that is why it is quite different between you being an administrator and you being just having the knowledge of, oh, I played the game, I interact with the key players in the field, I know how this. No, it's a different ball game. You must be able to learn how to correlate Mr. A and Mr. B, and that is what administrative is all about. You must have to know what is needed at a particular point in time and how you are able to put or fix that thing so that it will work properly when you need it most. That is what administrative is all about. It's not just all about the practicality of, okay, throw the ball on the pitch, let's go and jog or let's go and kick. No, it's away from that. So I still insist that he needs to go to some of the administrative lessons. Even ex-international like Papilo, Kanu Nwankwo need to do that as well, because we've seen since Kanu Nwankwo took over from Felix Anyansiago, it's almost the same story, all right? Lots of Austin Jejo Okocha, some time ago, he tried for Delta State in an administrative angle. My brother, what happened? You know, he ran away, so it's a different ball game altogether. If you truly want to be successful in terms of administrative angle, you need to learn the basics.
All right, let's see how this one, of course, will go down. And let's time for me to bring you the FIFA award we saw yesterday, as France and Paris Saint-Germain attacker Ousmane Dembele won the Men's FIFA Best Award at a ceremony in Qatar yesterday, while Barcelona midfield maestro Tana Bonmati collected the women's prize. Dembele, who's 38 years, won the Ballon d'Or in September, rewarding an exceptional season with PSG, which included Ligue 1, club first Champions League title. PSG Spanish coach Luis Enrique was named best coach of a men's team out of Barcelona Hansen Flick and Liverpool's Premier League winner, manager and slot. First, Mike, we'll talk about Ousmane Dembele yesterday and his chances of winning this one. And finally, of course, he got it very, very deserving, you will say?
Of course, deserving, although my personal opinion cannot erode the votes that have been casted by different folks out there. You know, if not, I have my own personal reservation about the award which is best known to me. But then, taking a look at it all, I think Ousmane Dembele, yeah, I would say he deserved it because he played a very pivotal role for Paris Saint-Germain in their trophy-laden season, which they almost racked every trophy available, if not for the fact that they were denied by Chelsea football for the Club World Cup. If not, it would have been a total clean sweep from Paris Saint-Germain, both European scene and of course the domestic league. And of course, this Ousmane Dembele was very key to their success last season. You know, so I think he deserves it. He deserves it. The only, you know, worthy of mention, which I think not too many people are even talking about him, is Rafinha. Rafinha was also very key, instrumental for Barca's success last season. And but away from that, I think Ousmane Dembele, the French winger, truly deserved the award.
Ousmane Dembele, of course, truly deserved the award. What about Luis Enrique getting the manager award ahead of Hansen Flick?
I think there's no controversy about that, without any form of ambiguity. I think the man deserves it because he did pretty well. This is a coach that did not take, it took him less than 2 years to be able to build a Paris Saint-Germain and make them a fearsome team as we speak right now in Europe, not just in the French League One alone, because we've seen them dominate both in Europe and of course in the league out there. I think he deserved it over Hansi Flick. And Hansi Flick did pretty well, no doubt, for Barca, winning the league and of course the Super Copa España, but then he did not win the UEFA Champions League. Luis Enrique won the UEFA Champions League, all right, coupled with the domestic trophies that he won as well. So I think he truly deserves to be crowned the coach of the year.
England manager Serena Wigman picked up the award for coaching the women's side after she won a third consecutive Heroes title in the summer. In the goalkeeping category, Italy Gianluigi Donnarumma, who joined Manchester City after winning the Champions League with PSG, picked up the men's award, while Chelsea's Hero 2025 winner Hannah Hampton won the trophy in the women's categories. Santiago Montiel won the coveted Puskás Award for Best Goal of the Year, and thanks to his overhead kick from outside the penalty area for Independiente against Independiente Rivadavia in an Argentinian Chopo flight mile. Santiago Montiel won the converted Puskás Award for Best Goal of the Year, and thanks to his overhead kick from outside the penalty area down there. All right, let's quickly move on. Mike, the EFL Cup quarterfinal stage upon us as it stands. Yesterday, Chelsea were able to skate through in that game against Cardiff, and now in the semi-final. Tonight, Manchester City against Brentford. You see City going through in this one?
First off, before we go to the City game tonight, I think the last game between Cardiff and Chelsea was a tough nut for Chelsea to crack, because the Cardiff City, you know how boisterous their fans are. They troubled Chelsea as well, showed form of attacking intent and stint as well, but then Chelsea just used their experience to maneuver their way through by beating them 2-1. Good one, Garnacho, yeah, the Argentines scored a brace in that particular game. Then moving on to tonight's game between Manchester City and Brentford. The Bees, always a very strong team as well at some point. But then Manchester City, can they win tonight? It is an all-English Premier Team affair. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, although I understand Pep Guardiola might want to twerk his team by giving chance to some of maybe second choice players to, of course, show their skills tonight. But for Brentford, they might try to start most of their key players so as to enable them go far in this competition. But we'll just see how it's going to pan out. But when you talk about the bookmakers, they will definitely give it to Manchester City. But for me, I think it's going to be a tight encounter.
Tight fixture, of course, we're expecting tonight in the EFL Cup, and we look forward to see, what comes up, at the end of the day. Can they get the job done tonight? Talking about Manchester City. And this is where, of course, we'll call it a wrap, at this point on the show. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. on Sports Talk, of course, to bring you some of the interesting results, of course, we saw in the EFL Cup that we'll be looking out for, of course, in the EFL Cup tonight. Special thanks to Mike for doing justice on the show. You can go down to our different social media handle, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. The conversation, of course, continues right there. We can't go without telling you that, yes, Ousmane Dembele, he is a sport extraordinaire. On today's edition of the show, of course, he won the FIFA Best Men's Player for the year 2025 award. Impressive year it has been for the man, winning the Ballon d'Or and also the FIFA award. This is a very, very impressive feat. And with that, he is our sport extraordinaire on today's edition of the show. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.